Okay, today we'll speak about section 6.3, which is basically double and half angle identities. Remember, sine 2x, it's twice sine cosine, which means if I have 2 times sine times cosine, we double the angle, which means if the angle is x, it will be 2x. If it is 30, it will be 60. If it is 60, it will be 120. Similarly, cosine double angle, 2x, will be cosine squared minus sine squared, which means if I have cosine squared of 30 minus sine squared of 30, it will be cosine 60. Similarly, cosine 2x have alternative identity, which is 1 minus 2 sine squared, or cosine 2x, it's 2 cosine squared x minus 1. For tan double angle, tan 2x will be 2 times tan x divided by 1 minus tan squared. Now, regarding half angle identity, which can be justified from the double angle identity, I need to make a comment in the rule. First of all, the plus or minus is decided through angle over 2. So plus or minus depends of location of theta over 2. Depends on location of theta over 2. That's one thing. Second thing, sine theta over 2 and cosine theta over 2, they are close formula. The only difference here is a minus and here is a plus. And you can notice of both, if they are different, we have minus. If they are the same, we have a plus. So if it is cosine and cosine, it will be plus. If it is sine and cosine, it will be minus. Of course, tan theta is sine over cosine. Let's start the examples now. Now, here we have right as a single trigonometric functions. Remember what is sine double angle? It's 2 sine alpha cosine alpha, which means if I have the left-hand side, it will be equal to the right-hand side, which means 2 times sine times cosine, it will be sine double the angle. So I have here 2 times sine 3 theta cosine 3 theta. It will be sine 2 times the angle, double the angle. If it is a 3 theta, it will be 6 theta, and so on. That's all. Now, second question here, it says I have sine 2 theta times cosine 2 theta. I cannot apply the rule which says 2 times sine 2 theta, sine 2 theta, it is equal to 2 times sine theta times cosine theta. Here I don't have 2. So I need to say, I need to multiply by 2. But if you multiply by 2, to keep it equal, you must also divide by 2. Now, this quantity will be sine double the angle. Of course, here that is 2 theta. Okay, so 2 sine 2 theta times cosine 2 theta will be sine double the angle. If the angle is 2 theta, it will be here, double it, multiply it by 2, so it will be 4 theta over 2, which is basically, it's half sine 4 theta. Now, I have here identity says cosine squared of alpha minus sine squared of alpha. That is cosine to alpha. That's the identity for double angle of cosine. So applying this identity here, cosine squared of 3 theta minus sine squared of 3 theta, it will be cosine 2 times the angle. The angle is a 3 trigonometric function. Identity for 2 times tan theta, 1 minus tan theta squared. So if I have 2 times tan 4 theta divided by 1 minus tan squared 4 theta, that is basically equal to, now, similarly here, tan 2 theta is equal to 2 times tan squared of theta. That's the rule. But what I have here, it's tan 1 minus tan squared of 3 theta by 2, 1 minus tan squared of 3 theta. But when you multiply by 2, also you need to divide by 2 to keep them equal. So basically that's 1/2 of this quantity, which is 2 tan 3 theta, 1 minus tan squared of 3 theta, which means it's 1/2. That is equal to tan 2 times the angle. The angle is a 3 theta, it will become 6 theta. Now, here I have cosine squared of theta over 2. Of course, that is called alpha minus sine squared alpha. That's the rule. So that will be equal to cosine angle, which is theta over 2. So that will be just simply cosine theta. Now, find the exact value. We have to be careful here because we could do it by 2 different methods. The first method using the sum of angles identity, so we can write it as theta, which is plus cosine 30 sine 45 times root 2 over 2 plus 2 over 2, 2 plus root 6. But if he said method 2, if he specified a method by double angle half angle identity, if he say method 2 use half, let me use another color for this one, using half angle identity, 75 degrees is equal to sine, because 75 times 2, it's 150. Okay, so according to the rule, it should be plus or minus, but depending on 75. 75 in which quadrant? Quadrant 1, as I said a few seconds ago, sine, it's sine divided by angle theorem, which difference will be 30, and according to STC rule will equal. So instead of minus cosine 50 will be 30 divided by 1 plus square root of 3 over 2, and down you will get there divided by square root of 4, which is 2. Now, are they equal? Yes, they are equal if you use your calculator, but it looks like different. So be careful if he said use half angle identity and you did not use it, you will not see the choice. Now, so let me say here, let me stick with this one. Now, again, I have 2 methods. If we use method 1, which is sum of angle identities, means I would write cosine 105 to be equal to we could write it as $60 plus 45, which is basically, it means cosine 60 cosine 45 minus, and that will become cosine 60. If you remember, this is 60, that's 30 to 1 square root of 3. So cosine 60 will be half cosine 45 root 2 over 2 over 2 sine 45 root 2 square root of 2 minus square root of 6. That's using section 6.2, which is lecture. We're using half angle identities. We need to say 5 degrees. It's actually but divided by 2. So also it's negative cosine, so it will be negative square root of because both are cosine 5, it will be 210 divided by 2. Again, reference angle theorem and the reference angle 210 negative cosine 30 degrees, because the reference angle is 30 degrees. So that is basically equal to negative of over 2 and cosine 30 degrees, if you remember, over 2. Again, multiplying by 2 up and down, we will get its negative of square root 2 times 1, it's 2. And 2 times root 3 over 2 will be just root 3, and that will be square root of 2, which is square root of 4, which is 2. Again, it looks like different, but they are the same if you use your calculator. That's why in the exam you have to be careful if it says use half angle identity. Again, here with only by one method can be written as, if you multiply 67.5 by 2, multiply it by 2, 2 times 5, 18 plus 1, 15. So 2 times 6, 12 plus 1 is 30. So that is basically 135, because you take the 0.5 out one decimal place. So you'll get it back. So according, is it a plus 7? 1 divided by 1, 2 cosine 1 is reference t minus 3. We will get that cosine 45 minus cosine 45. It's 1 plus 1 minus square root of 2 over 2. Again, if you want to multiply by 2 up and down, you will get root 2. And if you want to simplify it more again, you multiply it by the conjugate. And that will become equals to 2 plus root 2 whole square, because quantity times itself. And here you will have, it's 2, so you will get 2. And that's the best you can reach. Now, cosine, you can 7 by, could say it, or divided by 2. Again, to decide plus or minus 7 by over 8 is in which quadrant? It's a quadrant 2. Quadrant 2, why it's smaller than 8? So quadrant 2. So it will be 1. We are speaking about cosine, it will be plus, that will be 7 by over 4, over 4 now. 7 by over 4 is here, 7 by over, and cosine here, according to STC, is positive, so cosine 7 by over 4, because cosine in the fourth quadrant is positive, so it will be by over 4 divided by 2, which is basically plus square root of 2 over 2 divided by 2. I will leave it for you to simplify more. Multiply only by 2 up and down. Now, what about sine 5 by over 12 action to 2 by 3 by over 12? It will be 2 over 12, it's by over 6. 3 over 12 will be sine by over 6. Cosine by over 4. Sine preserve the sine, so 6 is 1/12. It will be plus by over again times or 2 over 2 square root of 2 plus square root. But using this section, which is by angle identity, I need to say sine. It's actually sine half x. So according to the rule, 5 by over 12, it's less than over 12, less than 6 by over 12, which is less than by over 2. So it's a quadrant 1. So this is less than by over 2, quadrant 1. Quadrant 1 is a plus square root of, we say the cosine 5 by over 6 over 2. And remember 5 by over 6, 5 by over 6, the reason because 5 by over 6 less than 6 by over 6, which is y. So cosine here, minus of minus will be plus cosine by over 6 if is root 3 over 2, so that will be equal to 1 plus square root 3, it will be over 2. If you multiply 2 up and down, you will get 2 plus square root of 3. Now, that will end up our section, but be careful when he said use half angle identity in the multiple choice, you will not see the choices for if you use. Okay, so let's stop recording.